Clermont on the map not only nationally but internationally by being known as the capital of cornhole. And it has in its backyard American Cornhole, which is the founding fathers to the sport.
Welcome to Clermont Connection. I'm Mark Calitri, new president of the Clermont County Convention and Visitors Bureau. My job is to drive economic growth to Clermont County by stimulating interest in our area attractions and bringing in guests to our hotels. Our guest today is the hit king Pete Rose, and he will be telling us why this region is so special to him. But first, let's look at a few major activities going on in Clermont County this year.
Some events coming into Clermont County, Ohio in 2014 is Police and Fire Games, June 8th through the 14th. The Oldsmobile Nationals, July 31st to August 3rd. The Catholic War Veterans Conference, August 6th through the 10th. And we'll also have several other rowing events throughout the season.
The Ohio Police and Fire Games, initiated by Sheriff Tim Rodenberg and coordinated by his staff and members of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, will involve police and firefighters from all over the state of Ohio. They will arrive in our community and spend a week participating in numerous sporting events in venues that will occur throughout Clermont County and surrounding counties. This is an event of high economic impact for our community. Start your engines. We have 400 to 500 classic Oldsmobiles coming to our community this summer. Between owners, family members, vendors, and suppliers, we anticipate over 1,000 attendees. Be on the lookout for some classic Oldsmobile automobiles touring our highways and byways this summer. We are pleased to welcome the Catholic War Veterans to our community in August of this year. We are planning a number of interesting and unique tours to a number of our venues within our community. This includes Jungle Gyms, Eastgate Mall, the Starlight Drive-In, the Warbird Museum, and a special trip up to the Wright Pat Air Force Base.
That's briefly what's going on. To learn more, check out our website at visitclermontohio.com.
All right. We're here this morning to interview Sheriff Tim Rodenberg and talk a little bit about the Ohio Police and Fire Olympic Games that will be coming to our community in the next few weeks. Sheriff, can you tell us a little bit about the Ohio Police and Fire Games?
Yes, Chris, thank you. They started probably about 35 years ago. It's my understanding they first started in Columbus, Ohio. A group of police officers got together and decided to put the games together, sort of on an Olympic format, to bring officers together and participate and compete. And from there it grew over the last 35 years. For about the first 30 years, it was called the Police Olympics. And it was about 5 years ago or so they changed it to the Ohio Police and Fire Games to include both the fire services, EMS, and just within the last few years they've added military, both active duty, retired, reserve, honorably discharged. So it's opened up to fire, police, EMS, and military.
Interesting. How many participants would you anticipate, and from how broad an area?
Well, it's varied over the years. I think last year they might have had 600, 700 up in Oberlin, which is in northern Ohio. They've had as many as 900 to 1,000, I believe. And I think what we're looking at is we could draw 1,000. The reason why, and maybe even more, the games have rarely ever been held in Southwest Ohio. In the 35 years history, I think it's probably less than 5 times, never in Clermont County. So what we're going to be doing, we think, is draw from a wider or a different geographical area. We already have had a inquiry from England and Australia. So we might have an Englishman and an Australian here. In the past, participants have come from Canada. It's open to anyone in the United States who's in the police and fire service. You don't have to be from Ohio. So we could get a wide range of participants.
Now, my understanding is there's a tremendous variety of events that will take place in a variety of venues as well. Can you talk a little bit about how many events might take place and over how wide a venue?
Sure. Well, there's going to be about 30 to 35 events, and it'll depend on registration, but there's something for everybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's individual events, arm wrestling, cornhole, darts, and then there's more athletic events, you might call them, powerlifting, swimming, track and field, 5K, some bicycling events. Then there's team events. There's soccer, basketball, things of that nature. And then they are going to be spread out throughout the county. We have to have different venues, obviously. Swimming is going to be, for example, in New Richmond High School. Some of the competitions, we're going to have karate and judo and taekwondo. That's going to be at Milford High School. Okay. And obviously the track and field, tennis is going to have to be outside. We've got a venue for that. Almost all the venues are in Clermont County, except for 2 or 3 of them. We had to find facilities outside the county, but they're not far away. They're in Anderson Township, right off of 471 or 275.
And for the benefit of our viewers, the dates and times that the events will take place.
Well, it's going to start, actually registration for the participants who will be participating on Sunday, June 8th will be the day before, June 7th. But the games do not officially start until June 8th, and then they will continue until Friday, June 13th. And there'll be different events every day at various venues. And on June 8th, the first day of the games, we're going to have an opening ceremony at Eastgate Mall. Involving some fire and EMS trucks, hopefully get a whole lot of people together around 5 o'clock on Sunday, June 8th.
Okay. And I know you want to encourage the public to attend as many of these events as possible. How can folks find out what events will take place where?
Well, there's 2 ways. First of all, they can call our office. We have a website. We're going to have things on our office website and on our Facebook, Clermont County Sheriff. The second thing is there is a website for the Ohio Police and Fire Games. All you have to do is get on the internet, put in your search engine Ohio Police and Fire Games. They'll have a list of events, and it'll indicate where they are. There's also a command post that's going to be set up on the first floor of the Holiday Inn Eastgate, and that will be open at 6 a.m. every morning. So anyone who wants to find out about the games, ask some questions, maybe buy some things, T-shirts or what have you, that'll be in the Holiday Inn starting on actually Saturday night, June 7th.
Okay. Well, this event has such enormous significance. Can you tell us a little bit how Clermont County was fortunate enough to be selected to host the games this year?
Well, that was my idea, and unfortunately my staff has not been particularly happy with me a few times because of that. I heard they were looking for a host. When I went to Oberlin last year, when I went up there to compete, I don't know if I got talking to one of the directors or whatever, but we were talking about it. And I volunteered us. When I say us, I mean them. I mean the rest of my staff. And they looked at us. We met with them a time or two, and they decided the venue was good. They'd never been down here before, and they thought it might be a good idea. So they selected us for this year's host agency, you might say, or county for the games.
Well, I understand you and some members of your staff have participated in prior years' games. Are there some funny and interesting stories that have occurred in these games that you might want to share?
Yes, we've had quite a good success. Some of our deputies have, mainly I think in the powerlifting events it seems like, but they've won gold medals in those events over the years. And last year I was encouraged to participate at age 64. And I had a trainer, one of my deputies, Tony Dufresne, who is a personal trainer, and he trained me for about a year. And I competed in the powerlifting event in Oberlin in three different events in powerlifting, and won 3 gold medals. And that's another thing I should add. There's something here for everyone in all ages. I would say the age range is probably from the early 20s up to probably, I think the oldest participant's in his 70s. And he's a power lifter, so it doesn't matter how old you are, you can compete. And they do break down many of the events by age and gender. So if you're 60, you're not going to be competing against someone in most events who are 20. There are some that are across the board, but many of them are broken down by age and gender categories.
People would probably be surprised, but I think given the number of participants, the number of venues, the duration of these games, there's an enormous economic benefit for our community. Could you speak a little bit to what that economic impact might be for our area?
Well, certainly. There's some donations coming in, obviously, to the games, and because of that, we will get some of that for local charities. And as well as that, though, all the participants coming in. Participants with their families, perhaps, staying in some of the hotels. The host hotel is a Holiday Inn Eastgate. I believe the Hampton is also one of the hotels that's going to be used. And you know, all the money that might be spent while they're here for lodging, food, souvenirs, whatever else they might want to pick up in the area. It's going to bring a lot of people into the county over that 6-7 day period.
Well, we're most appreciative of your efforts to bring the Ohio Police and Fire Olympics to Clermont County, and we look forward really to the significant impact of this event and the economic ripple effect throughout our community. So, Sheriff Rodenberg, thank you so much for your time and your efforts and energy in putting this together.
Thank you, and I want to say one last thing. I would be remiss if I didn't congratulate my staff or acknowledge them, Jim Maloney and Mary Gregory, on our staff, because they're the ones who have done all the work. I've just sort of sat back with my feet crossed and saying this isn't hard at all, but they give me a glare, and I appreciate their efforts, and they've done it right, and I think it's going to be a top-notch event for the county.
Our thanks to Jim and Mary and the sheriff's staff and all of our volunteers who will be helping and supporting and contributing to the success of this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here today.
And to learn more, check out our website at visitclermontohio.com. Well, I'm glad to be here today with the President and CEO of the American Cornhole Organization, Frank Geers. Thank you so much for being here today.
Mark, thank you.
Well, tell me about your business and how you got started.
Well, believe it or not, my business is all about cornhole and having fun. I started 9 years ago. I was actually in the marketing business. I had a group called Harris Hawk. It was a group that I started back in 2001, and that business focused on helping companies promote and market themselves. And as I was out there, I was always looking for an idea and a way to, a new idea in a way to help businesses promote themselves. Mm-hmm. Came across this game of cornhole at a tailgating event, said, man, that is a billboard waiting to happen to promote a company. And I moved forward with my marketing group to start to embrace the idea of using cornhole as a way to promote business or help businesses promote mm-hmm. themselves. And that's how I originally got into cornhole. And I had some buddies that had a design firm. Those friends at the design firm, I got together with them one day and said, hey, I'm interested in starting this group called American Cornhole. They did a lot of design packaging for a toy manufacturing company, so I thought that they were the perfect partner to get involved with us. So I talked them into getting engaged with me and my partner at Harris Hawk, and the rest is history. We went out and started to create the best product for the industry. We wanted people who were playing cornhole in California to be playing on the same type of equipment like they were playing in Ohio. So we wanted to bring standardization to the game. So when I first got involved, I was a products-oriented business. Then it only took me about 6 months to realize that there was more than just a game here, that this could be developed into a sport, something way beyond mm-hmm. Just the backyard. And that's when I got hooked up with Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer had a charity event that he ran down at Paul Brown Stadium for a few years. So very early in our game, we were mentioned in the Wall Street Journal. We got involved with Carson Palmer. We landed Carnival Cruise and started focusing on creating what became now the World Championships of Cornhole, which was going, not steering clear of the product side, but embracing the product side as well as becoming the governing body to the sport. So making rules and regulations, creating somewhat of a handicapping system with this thing we call the frame game, creating a world ranking system, creating a tournament that every year players can gravitate towards competing for the #1 singles player in the world, which we call the King of Cornhole, or the #1 doubles team in the world, which we call the World Doubles Champions. So that event is what's called the ACO World Championships of Cornhole.
Well, what is the most important thing people should know about the game of cornhole?
That is fun. I mean, it's a fun, addictive game, and anybody can play it. I mean, that's what you need to know, whether you're 8 or 80, male or female, black or white. It's a fun, social game. And one of the things that we've seen a lot happening with cornhole over the last 4 or 5 years is it's become a great vehicle for charities to raise money for themselves and to bring awareness to a charity. The reason we like it and push it over, like for instance, a golf outing, is if you put the two on the table, a golf course is expensive. Golf is limited to certain people that have a skill set to golf. It doesn't take a lot of skill to be able to throw a 1-pound bag 27 feet. Now, it does take a lot of skill to be able to throw it well, but anybody feels engaged when they can throw a bag and it hits the board and lands on it. You're excited.
Sure.
And it's more socially engaging. When you're in a golf tournament, you're off with your foursome doing your own thing. When you're in a cornhole tournament, you're mixing and mingling and socializing with a lot of different people. So we love it from that standpoint. It's a fun social game.
Most people probably don't know that your business is located here in Clermont County. Can you tell me what makes this region so special for you and the business?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of talk about where cornhole was originated, the sport. And some people claim that it was originated in Chicago, but we from Cincinnati love to lay claim to it, particularly the west side of Cincinnati loves to lay claim that they invented and created the game. So we embrace that as Cincinnatians. And I've grown up in Cincinnati my whole life. I've lived over on that side of town for quite a bit of time. Mm-hmm. And we embrace it from the standpoint of the history of the game is here. We believe the history of the game is here. We also embrace it because Ohio and Cincinnati, we're the heart of it all. We're the heart of the United States. And this is a U.S. born and bred game that's been created. And what better state to be a part of than Ohio to champion the cause of making this an international sport.
Great. So Frank, how would you like the people of this region to view American Cornhole Organization's accomplishments?
I want them to be proud and embrace the fact that we are part of their community. I want Clermont to be proud that they've got something in their backyard that is not only a special company today, but can be a million times more special in the future, because cornhole itself is going to be an international game. It already is becoming an international game with people playing in Australia and the Netherlands. And I'm proud of the fact that we are a company that was there before anybody else was there, embrace the idea of making this a sport. Companies are following our lead. They copycat us all the time. But what we are doing is, we've set ourselves apart from the pack because little does everybody know that these are some of the accomplishments we've had. We've been in the Wall Street Journal. We were on the front page. Believe it or not, they did one of those little etchings of my face, which was kind of funny. We've been in ESPN Magazine. We've been on ESPN show itself. We were on the Kenny Mayne Wild World of Sports show, or Wider World of Sports show this past July. So I'm proud of all these accomplishments that we had, and I feel like the city of Cincinnati doesn't really know that we're in their backyard. And I would love to see the city of Cincinnati, and Clermont particularly, embrace the fact that we're here.
Well, now you brought up a couple of other professional sports, professional baseball, professional football. They seem to have Hall of Fame organizations. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We've looked forward to putting together one of these days a thing that we call the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, and that's one of the neat things about our game too, is we have fun with it. We like to have fun with it, and so the Hall of Fame, though, the whole concept is that we want a destination point for our players, like any Hall of Fame, but we want it to be in Clermont. So we're trying to find that perfect partner or that perfect location that might be willing and wanting to embrace our story, embrace our passion, become a part of history, and feature the Hall of Fame.
Perfect. Ohio's had some success with the casino and gaming industry. Tell me, are you working with any local casinos or?
Well, we are. The Miami Valley Gaming it's neat. It's a casino that has a racetrack tied to it. They put a lot of money into remodeling this facility, and it's a beautiful complex. We're going to be in a part of the building running the state championships June 27th and 28th of 2014 this year. As well as we've created what's called the ACO Players Championships of Cornhole. Okay. And that is an invitational tournament only for our professional cornhole players.
I've heard recently that you've been working with the Horseshoe Casino and Margaritaville downtown Cincinnati. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, it's actually fun. We're doing a couple different programs with them, and I'm excited about it because Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville Cincinnati is one of, I think 13 locations that they have. And Cincinnati should feel kind of special to have one of these restaurants in town because they're only in big cities. They're in, I think, Orlando and Chicago and down in Nashville, I believe. I think San Francisco. So some great cities, and Cincinnati is part of that. But what we've got is a two-part thing going on with them. We're doing a qualifier series where players can come down, actually May 4th of this year, and try to compete for qualification for the ACO World Championships. But what we're also doing is we've developed a weekly activation on Thursday nights that anybody can come down. It's free to play. You don't need to bring a partner even. You can come down by yourself. It's what we call luck of the draw, where we put a bunch of chips in a hat and you draw your partner and you win door prizes like hats and T-shirts. You win a chance to possibly get a free night stay at the World Championships at the Embassy Suite this year, which is in Charleston, West Virginia in July. So lots of fun activity going on, and we're hoping that if it goes well with the Cincinnati market, we're going to parlay that and be doing this all across the country, these qualifiers and these weekly night night activities.
Okay, perfect. Can you tell us how the Convention and Visitors Bureau has helped you?
They've helped us a lot. They've put us in touch with some key people, locally here. We're hoping that they can continue to help bring awareness to us. They've connected us with some potential venues that we can use as resources to bring our activities to the town. So we're very happy with working with the CVB.
I'm excited to be back with Eric Hyneman with the American Cornhole Organization. Eric, thank you, and tell us all about what you're doing there with ACO.
Well, I'm actually an employee for the ACO. My correct title is I'm the ACO Certified Official Director. So what we have ladies and gentlemen around the country who act as our advocates on our behalf out in their regions of the country. So we have several different cities where certified officials run organized events in those areas and also distribute equipment and sign up new ACO members. So
okay.
I kind of work with those people. I actually started off as a player, as a pro player in cornhole, and developed a friendship with our president with that process, and then moved from there.
Well, you mentioned you're a professional. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I know it's a little strange concept to people who are familiar with the backyard game of cornhole, but certainly over our years, you see players get better, you see all the skill that's involved in the game, and players take it to another level. And we actually have tests and points that you can earn and earn pro status.
Well, most people have seen cornhole in a social type setting, but is there some strategy to the game, preparation? Can you tell us about that?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of strategy. A lot of people compare the game to horseshoes, but really there's even a lot more strategy. It's even more comparable to the game of shuffleboard, because you really have to jockey your bag for position, slide the hole in, move bags out of your way, go over top. So there's several different shots that are needed to become a really good cornhole player. I can actually show you a little bit about one of our pro bags here. This is called a player's choice bag because it actually has two different sides of the bag. This side is a brush twill side, and it's better for sliding. And this is a suede side, and it's better for sticking. So strategy may come into the game where you're trying to block another player, or you're trying to slide by their bag. So there's a lot to it, really.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, can you tell me about the World Championships and maybe the way the players are ranked, or some titles that they have that are out there?
Sure. Well, to become a ranked player or a pro player, there's a few different processes, actually. A player earns points in their local and regional tournaments, with their certified officials, like we talked about, so they can actually earn these points by showing up at tournaments on a monthly basis, and then they can, those points feed into an overall ranking system. Then they can come to our major tournaments, which are bigger tournaments that are corporate ran, where players come from all different regions to compete against each other, and they're earning points there. As a part of all this, we also do what's called a frame game or a skills challenge rating, where players kind of take a test on their own to gauge how straight that they can throw. When you combine all these things together, if you meet the minimum levels for those things, you can acquire pro status. When that all equates to the World Championships of Cornhole, obviously everything is leading up to the World Championships every year. All these regional tournaments, all the major tournaments, and the players, their ultimate goal was to strive for the World Championships of Cornhole. Our overall title at the Worlds is called the King of Cornhole. And that's the robe, the crown, that's the best player in the sport of cornhole, the single best player. It's open to men, it's open to women, anyone, just the single best player. We also do have the individual titles of Queen of Cornhole for females. We have doubles, so teams, world doubles titles. Then the actual process tiers off at the World Championships. So you always end up in a division that's right for you. So you may try to qualify for the King Cornhole. If that doesn't work, you go to the competitive. If that doesn't work, you go to the social. So there's an opportunity for everyone to come out And this year, the World Championships is in Charleston, West Virginia, July 15th and 19th.
Okay, perfect. You started talking about some strategy, and like I said before, most people see cornhole in a social type setting. Can you go back and explain go back and give us some more detail about the strategy and what you're trying to do? How far should the boards be apart, for instance, and kind of walk us through the game a little bit, maybe for some people that don't know?
Well, it's certainly been standardized by the American Cornhole Organization. You know, the standard length between boards is 27 feet.
27
feet from front to front. So that makes the holes 33 feet, front to front. So that's a little bit longer than most people are used to putting in their backyard. They'll just walk out and put it in their backyard and they'll figure out that, oh, those are like 22 feet apart. When you start moving them back, it gets a little bit more difficult. As far as how people become competitive, there's a big transfer of this sport in other similar type sports, you know, bowling, darts, billiards. A lot of good cornhole players were good at one of those or more than one of those things at some time in their life and just enjoy that type of activity. You know, when you really start to see how good players can become, how well they can actually place their shots, how well they can do with those different types of shots I've told you about, really becomes intriguing for those types of players. You know, a lot of mental, preparedness goes into it, a lot of focus, a lot of practice, muscle memory, things like that go into the game. So I know that usually in the backyard you see a lot of people drinking beer. We have plenty of that at our tournaments, plenty of good times and laughs and drinking beer, but you see a lot of focus, earphones, people eating energy snacks in between games, in between long matches and things like that. It takes a lot of focus and preparation.
So the basic object of the game, though, would be to score a direct hit in the hole, I guess, but then if your bag misses, then there's some strategy that comes into play. Is that the way that it scores and works?
Absolutely. The scoring works, or you get 3 points if the bag goes in the hole, 1 point if it lands on the board. So, and then a player's points cancel out another player. So if I had 2 in the hole and 2 on the board, which would be 8 points, and you had 1 on the hole and 1 on the board, which would be 4 points, I total 4 points for that. Those 4 of your points canceled out for mine. So yes, when we come down to that situation where maybe I have 1 in the hole, but now I need to block you from getting in the hole, so I try to put 1 in your way. You need to get mine out of the way. Maybe you push it. Maybe you decide to throw over top of it. So there's certainly a lot of strategy. Just having position on the hole is the best thing. There are all kinds of techniques. If you're just trying to match holes with someone else, yeah, certainly blockers come into place where you're trying to, get someone out of their rhythm. Rhythm has a big part.
Portion to it?
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of practice and just tournament experience. No substitute for that. Getting there, seeing what you have to do, and doing better each time.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us, and call if you know someone we should have on or something you would like to see us explore. Our phone number is 513-732-3600. Tell your friends about the program and go to our website and tell us what you think we should be doing.